So let's talk about this thing here. What I got in front of me is the Lone Wolf Custom Gear Pocket Arm Razor. Now this thing is mine. I paid for it with my own money. This is an honest review of my own thoughts on this thing. And I got a lot of good things to say about it. I do have some bad things to say about it. But for a guy that's just wanting to get started filming, this is going to be your best option. It really is. It's so compact, light, easy to set up. For $275, you get the arm, the strap, and the phone holder. You know, where you can pan and tilt and all that. It's not really a fluid head technically, but it does the job of a fluid head. This thing is sweet. You know, it takes up no space in your pack. It's razor thin. It folds up nice. You know, I'll get you some weights on this thing, but it's super light. 1.2 pounds. That's pretty awesome. You're not going to beat that. That is a really nice, compact, light setup. Filming can be a lot of hassle, setting up all your camera arms and if you're running action cameras and all that stuff, and just carrying all that extra weight out into the woods. With this thing, it's like no weight. It's so fast and easy to set up. I think that this thing is going to get a ton of deer killed on film, off people's cell phones in the upcoming seasons, just because it's not inconvenient to carry this thing and to pack this thing. And it folds up so nice and small. You just slip it into your pack. I really think that they really did knock it out of the park, especially for guys that are saddle hunters. To me, I really don't have any complaints about this arm for a saddle hunter, other than the bottom base here where it connects to the tree. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But it's got plenty of reach for a saddle hunter to get around a tree and to get around the back side of the tree and film over there. It's really nice. Now for me, I'm primarily a tree stand hunter, and I like to sit and set up my shots for shooting at 9 o'clock. So if I set this camera arm up over here, for it to reach around me, it only makes it to about right here, which ain't the coolest. If you got a flat screen phone that's facing back, to see what's going on that versus, trying to shoot the thing at the same time, I want that thing out in front of me. So that's one drawback to this. And honestly, that's the drawback that I have to all the manufactured camera arms. That's why I build my own. I've built a bunch of different camera arms, if you don't know. So, and I'll actually show you some of my camera arms, what I would do differently on this, where I did it on my own camera arms. So, I mean, that's pretty much about it. This thing's got a little bit of bounce. I shouldn't say a little bit. It has bounce when you got this thing extended all the way out. But for this style of filming, for a new beginner, and I put myself in that same category, is I call it point and shoot filming. Because I'm not trying to get nice video footage of that deer coming through and this is a self-filming operation. I call it point and shoot. You get that thing pointed at where the deer's going to be, and then you make your shot. And that's where this just shines, So, yeah, I highly recommend this for somebody that's looking to get into filming. There's a lot of other cheaper, more budget camera arms out there. And all I got to say to you on that stuff is, buy once and cry once when it comes to this type of stuff. Get something that it's as compact and as simple to use as possible. I see a lot of these like 3D printed arms and just the arms in general. This one is going to be the best for a beginner. I really do believe that. So now with that being said, one of the things that I don't like about this, and I'll show it in some of the clips here, is I wish that they would sharpen the bottom tree bracket, I guess you would call this. I know there's companies that make those 3D printed kind of deals that widen the stance of this where it connects to the tree, but you don't need that. If they sharpen this up, just having this sharpened and digging into the tree a little bit will really make a big difference. I've got arms where I've done that, and I'll show you that. But I wish that they would have made this just into a point is all they would have needed to do. It's got this little split cutout in it A guy could sharpen that into a point, I guess, with a file and try that out. It's probably not a bad idea. But really, they could have just made this come to a point, and that would have been the way to go as far as I'm concerned. I don't know why they stick with that design, because they did that on their original pocket arm too. Yeah, I mean, so the only thing that's different on this that you'll see is I got a little castration band on here to hold this, keep the strap held in place, because that's one thing I like to do with my camera arms is I always keep the strap on it all the time. So all I got to do is reach around and push the button on the strap and lengthen it to where I need it, cinch it tight, and then set my set screw. Oh, I'll tell you one thing that I wish that they would have done better on this, or differently, I should say. This phone holder is pretty cool, but if you have a small phone, so if you have a smaller phone, like this is my work phone, and this thing is just, it doesn't fit in the phone holder on here. So it might be something to consider if you got an older phone that's a lot smaller, but you can see it, this is down all the way right now, and the phone slips all the way in. So I'll give you a measurement on that. It's approximately 2 7/8 is the smallest that this goes, and like this is an older iPhone, and this thing is 2 3/4, so it just doesn't quite lock down. Now it's got, on my phone that I'm recording with right now, that's an iPhone 13 Pro Max. It holds it perfectly. I don't like how you have to secure the phone in it. So you loosen this up, and I usually kind of just give it a little snug so it stays open. I put my phone in place, and then I drop it down, and then I put my thumb down like that and push down to keep pressure, and then lock that thumb screw, and that secures the phone in there. Now, I think that they probably did it just for their own manufacturing abilities, but the phone holders that are spring-loaded, where you just lift up and it pulls back down, I would prefer to have that, you know. That would make this thing even faster. That would be like the ideal setup, you know. If you could just take this thing, lift it up, drop this down, put your phone in, and it's tight right away. You don't have to push down and try to get that tight. It would make this thing even that much faster. And that's kind of what I'm all about. If you've noticed any of my reviews, I don't like any extra dicking around. I just want to get in the game as fast as possible, because if filming takes you out of the game, which it does no matter what, it just makes it that much more frustrating. But yeah, this thing, I really got a lot of good things to say about this. So I'll show you a couple of camera arms that I built, just so you kind of know what I'm talking about. So this is a long camera arm in comparison to this one here. And even this one I feel is just a little bit on the short side yet. So you can see this thing's got center to center. This is about 9 inches longer. And on this one, to mitigate the kick out, I made this tree bracket, and it's kind of sweet because this is not tight. So it's relatively tight. I don't mess with this. I just leave it in this position all the time. But it's nice because it can kind of pivot. You know, if you're setting up on a tree that's at an angle, you know, one way or another, this pivot's nice, so you can turn this thing sideways and you're not fighting with it. And all these are is a couple of 5/16 bolts that I screwed in here, and I made it so that it's adjustable. And you'll see that on this other one that I made too. So anyhow, this is another one that I built. This is very similar to this one actually. And I'm giving this to my buddy Ricky. He's going to be filming off of this year. But for the bottom tree bracket where it goes into the tree, on this one I took and I drilled a 3/8 inch bolt that runs the length of this, and it's actually adjustable, so you can back off this lock nut if you need, if you decide you want to have more posts sticking out, or you want to turn some in to shorten this up a little bit. But just having a sharp point on the bottom works so much better than having this flat surface. So on mine, like I said, I'm going to file it sharp probably and try that out and see how that works. And if I don't like that, I'm just going to file it flat. and drill a hole and thread a bolt in there. Probably a 5/16 with the thickness of the material that we got there, and put a lock nut on there so I can do the same thing. So anyhow, I hope this video helped you out. I really do have a lot of good things to say about this camera arm. I think it's an excellent product, and I wouldn't shy anyone away from buying it. It's going to get a lot of guys filming their first year, and that's awesome. You know, there's no bigger reward than getting that done, filming your first year. I'll never forget the first one I filmed. So I hope this video helped you guys out, and I'll see you on the next one.